For as long as I can remember, I've not been able to touch my toes, but my daughter is a daily reminder it's not always been that way. Earlier this year at age 39, I decided I wanted my mobility back. This is the story of that journey of realizing what I'd lost and discovering if I could get it back again. Hello, Metcon Marcus here at Metabolic Conditioning, and we are all about the simple steps you and I can take to a healthier life. And today we're sharing our experience of 100 days using the mobility routine app ROM WOD. If WODs, EMOBs, AMRAP and workout gear is your thing and you enjoyed today's video, then do consider subscribing. Today's video is broken down into 3 parts: why mobility routines really matter, a review of the ROM WOD app, and then a reflection on our results of increased range of motion between day 0 and day 100. This is the journey of how I rediscovered my mobility and how you could too. So briefly, why are mobility routines important? Being strong is a good thing, but as we age beyond 30, we lose between 3 and 5% of our muscle per decade, and lifting weights, whether that be dumbbells, kettlebells or barbells, help to build and maintain muscle mass as we get older. But should, or more importantly, does that need to come with sacrificing your mobility and range of motion? I think not. But being completely honest, I know I've been as guilty as anyone of neglecting my mobility. You know, you get to the gym and maybe you've got 30 to 45 minutes before you need to head home. And the last thing any of us want to do is to sacrifice 10 or 15 minutes completing a mobility drill. But over time, that neglect can lead to impaired range of motion and an increased chance of injury. At some point, we'll all experience setbacks in life and in our training. And last year I sustained an injury. At the end of my rehab, I could see I'd started to regain some of my mobility, and I wanted to continue that journey into the new year. And that's when I discovered ROM WOD. You've probably heard ROM WOD app described as yoga for CrossFitters, and while there's some truth in that, it's a whole lot more, and I personally think anyone who's undertaking moderate to high intensity exercise would benefit from ROM WOD. So the review itself is split into 3 sections: an overview of what you can expect, the app mobility test, which helps you establish a starting point to progress from, and then we'll dive into reviewing specific programs within the app, which are called pathways. In terms of what you can expect, I came to the ROM WOD app very green, having never completed any kind of yoga or Pilates before. I'd taken a look at the ROM WOD Instagram and YouTube channels, but you'll see from yourselves, you don't get much to go on from there. So what's good about the app? Well, all the routines are downloadable, which is super helpful if you want to be able to use the app when you don't have a Wi-Fi connection. The app has a 7-day beginner series, which is particularly helpful in getting you in the zone and used to the different positions and poses. For the majority of the positions, you are given a modification if you can't make the stretch. This might mean using a prop or a cushion to elevate the body. This is a key feature in making the app routines accessible to anyone new to mobility work. These are routines you can do at home, before or after your gym routine. You don't need any equipment. And I was pleasantly surprised that you can do them when you've got relatively low energy or when you're tired. I got into a rhythm of doing my ROM WOD at around 9:45 each night before bed, and I found this worked really well for me. All the routines have a light touch voiceover, which gives you prompts on how long you've got left in the pose. This is great, and it means you can really switch off and tune out. The voiceover is relaxing and nice and neutral to help get you into a calm, chill place in your body and your mind. So what's not so good? You might not want to hear this, but there's a fair degree of discomfort, particularly in the first few weeks. I realized quite quickly I had terrible ankle mobility, which made sitting in the seated saddle position very uncomfortable to begin with. This is a process of undoing, certainly in my case, years of neglect, and that comes with some pain. The good news is the more you do, the more your body adapts and the easier it becomes. To get the real benefits of increased mobility, I'd suggest you need to be doing the routines ideally at least 2 to 3 times a week. They are generally around 20 minutes long, so you're looking at a 1-hour commitment per week, which I'd say is a great return on investment. So on to establishing a starting point with the ROM WOD mobility test. The mobility test takes a few minutes. You'll be asked to go through a range of different movement patterns, during which the app will measure your biomechanics to help you identify the areas and routines you're going to benefit from most performing. It's a helpful tool and something I'd recommend you do first when you start with the ROM WOD app. If you're ready and wanting to sign up for a free 7-day ROM WOD trial, you can do that right now by clicking the first link in the video description. So diving into specific ROM WOD programs, which are called pathways, I'm going to pull out one or two of my favourite over the last 100 days. The beginner series is an essential place to start, particularly if you're new to mobility routines. It eases you in nice and gently, and there's plenty of modifications. It's also slightly less intense than some of the other pathways, where you can be holding a single stretch for 3 to 4 minutes. Secondly, if you're somebody who is sitting down a lot with your work, the Desk Job Hero series will be a must for you. Each of the routines within the series focuses on unlocking tension that builds up in the shoulders and hips through long periods of sitting. This has become a go-to, frequently revisited set of routines for me. Next, running, whether that be as part of your daily WOD or specific cardio strength training, is an essential part of exercise routines, and we've all experienced that post-day DOMS where everything feels super tight and achy. The running mobility pathway is particularly helpful for both helping you build better range of motion for movement patterns, for example, giving you improved stride length, or helping you stave off the post-day stiffness by fully stretching out post-run. New recently released pathways of note include programs targeting the lower back and overhead range of motion, both of which I've enjoyed and found particularly helpful in relation to my weightlifting and kettlebell training. I've saved the best till last. The pre-sleep routine pathway is my favourite to date. Over time, I've really started to look forward to the pre-sleep ROM WOD routine, and even on those days where I've really not felt like it, and trust me, I've had plenty of those, knowing that I've got this 15 to 20 minutes before bed where I tune out and let the stresses of the day go, get away from my phone and other distractions, I genuinely look forward to the discomfort and building a better me or you for tomorrow. I found it easier as the 100 days have progressed to really zone out and use the routine as a time to meditate, sometimes reflecting on a psalm or a Bible passage to chill the mind before bed. So on to results between day 1 and day 100 to give you a sense of progress. This isn't a clinical test, but based on my experience, opinion, analysis of progress, the photos and videos from day 1 to day 100, they were taken from slightly different angles, which isn't ideal, but nonetheless give some interesting results, so let's get into it. So an area I've seen most increased range of motion over the 100 days has been in my ankles and quads. This is most visible in the day 1 versus day 100 comparison of the seated saddle. Secondly, I've also seen moderate gains in hip and back mobility, although not as visually dramatic. I can certainly feel that when performing the lizard, where my shoulder and back is closer to the floor and knee from where I began. Double pigeon is another example where my arms are now positioned further forward. A pose that I couldn't even do at day 1 was the rear leg hold dragon, which only with time and increased hip and hamstring mobility I've been able to get into that position. Overall progress has certainly not been easy or linear across joints and body parts, but in myself I feel more mobile and in tune with my body, which is great. If you've enjoyed today's video, then why not try one of our mobility routines up here, or pair it with one of our follow-along kettlebell workouts. Also, you may enjoy our CrossFit and garage gym gear reviews available up here. And lastly, if you're somebody who enjoys trying something new, then why not check out a 100-day transition to barefoot shoes? These can be a real genuine game changer. Have a great workout and see you in the next video.